Man, it's good to see the union representation here. We make up the city. We take care of the city. Make some noise from the union. It's important to vote. We know. We got to make everybody else know. The difference between those who do and those who don't are those who will and those who won't. We must be conscious of making sure that everybody is ready to go. So make some noise. This will be historic. We'll all look back and we'll remember this time. So we want to say thank you. We have a plethora of speakers for you today. Decision making, information taking is what we should be about. Those 2020 campaign signs that you see, let's get Detroit numbers up. We got to do it this time. I'll never forget NBC's report that during the last election, Detroit disappeared off the map. That will not happen again, am I right? That will not happen again. Mildred Gaddis, I Am In 2020 campaign is here today to introduce these illustrious speakers to you. On behalf of the NBA, who I represent, along with Beasley Media, we say thank you, and yes, we all are going to the polls. Ladies and gentlemen, Mildred Gaddis.
Thank you, Mason. Good afternoon. What a beautiful, beautiful day. We have been working hard. You have been working hard, but we've got to get the numbers up. I just want to take a moment here and first thank Mr. Mike Aaron. Where's Mr. Aaron? Who he not only loves Local 1191, Labor's Local 1191, he loves his people. He has one face, and he never changes his opinion no matter who's in the room. Give it up for Mr. Mike Aaron. Assisting us in our I Am In 2020 campaign, Wayne County Commissioner Irma Clark Coleman, Miss Emma Bell, Miss Stevetta Johnson, Mary Robinson, Beverly Butler, Union Mary, Teola Hunter, Mr. Ray Solomon, who's all over the place all the time. We went back to the old-fashioned way. We just rounded up a bunch of women, and they've been calling, knocking, carrying, delivering, and getting the numbers up, introducing new people who've never voted, energizing people who voted in the past and have just checked out of the process. They've been able to get them to check back in. Our sole goal, Mike Aaron, was to restore those 11,000 votes that were missing from Detroit 4 years ago. So we're going to stay the course. At this time, I want to bring on our leader, Mr. Mike Aaron, Business Manager, Labor's Local 1191.
Good morning, Detroit. I should say good afternoon. I should say good afternoon. Well, I think I'm looking at the choir now because I'm believing that everyone here will vote, has voted, or is going to vote today. I've got Bruce, one of my members here, Bruce and Kenneth. They're going to vote today. So if Bruce will raise his hand out there, you can follow Bruce and Kenneth down to the polling location right down the street there at the city clerk office, the Department of Elections, and vote. But this is the choir. It's nothing I can say to you today that you shouldn't already know the reason why you should be eager, excited, and out telling your friends and family that this season is election season. And this is the season that we are going to let our voices be heard for you to know that labor still stand and Detroit and this region is still labor unions friendly. So our members should be the ones to talk to their families, their friends, and the people that want to have a conversation with you. The conversation of the day and of the hour is voting. And please, don't just wait until election day to go vote. Vote now. Please go vote today. Bruce, are you still there? Kenneth, are you out there? If you don't know, you see his hand raised over there, please follow him down to the election department to cast your ballot today. As you heard, I'm Michael Aaron. I'm the business manager of the one of the best organization local union in the city of Detroit, Laborers Local 1191. Are you out there? I want to say to you and all of my other labor families, thank you. Thank you for being here today. This is really important. The message has got to go get out, and we're here vowing to say that we are going to deliver that message to the city of Detroit and this region to get out and make our voices heard and vote in this upcoming election. And now, sisters and brothers, would you please help me welcome our Senator Gary Peters that is running in this election. Our Senator, Gary Peters. Whose senator is he? Whose senator is he? Sisters and brothers, Senator Peters is a native of Metro Detroit and a long-standing friend of the labor movement who is focused on strengthening Michigan middle class by supporting legislation that creates jobs and levels the playing field. Bear with me. I got an educated daughter that said you just can't get up and say what you want to say. You got to say what I tell you to say. So, but every day, Senator Peters is in the fight for us. He is a long-standing friend of labor. We have been in this war before together with Senator Peters. You remember when he ran for the 14th Congressional District. He is hard-working, hard-charging, and he holds nothing back. The commercials you see, they evidently don't know Senator Gary Peters, because he is the consummate workhorse in the Senate. As you know, he fights for our right to have health care. He fights for labor to have the right to organize and to negotiate good wages. We need Senator Peters. So, brothers and sisters, would you please help me welcome our Senator Gary Peters by calling his name? Peters! Peters! Peters!
Well, thank you, Michael. Mildred, great to see you as well. Good afternoon, Labor. It's wonderful to be here. It is so great to be here as we rally to get out the vote. And as Michael said, we've been in a lot of battles together. And we know that we are going to have continuous battles in the future, and so much is at stake coming up in this election. And, you know, I love being in front of a labor audience. I'm very proud to say I was born and raised in a labor family. And when I look around and I see some of the men and women from the SEIU, my mother was a proud member of the SEIU. In fact, I will remember very vividly as a young man when she first got involved in the SEIU in an organizing drive. And it really confirmed to me exactly what a labor movement is all about, how you have to come together, how you have to work in a collective way in order to fight for the rights that everybody in this country should have, but you have to fight for, and that's why you unionize in order to do that. She was a nurse's aide in a nursing home, and those of you who are folks from healthcare here know nurse's aide are overworked, underpaid, and underappreciated. And folks said to her, you know, Madeline, why are you still working there? It's not a good place. The management's not a really friendly management. And she says, well, I'm working there because I like the patients. I like relationships with the patients, and I enjoy helping them. I'm not going to leave my workplace. We're going to bring a union into this workplace to stand up for the men and women who work here. And they did that. They brought it in, and it was not pleasant. They fought, and they tried to, you know, to take people away from each other, tried to split. They told my mom, we'll pay you more money if you don't get involved in this union. And my mom said, no, we're all in this together. And they hung together, and they won, and she became an SEI union steward. I'm so proud of my mom. And that's what I know so much of you've gone through. And when Mike talks about why the labor movement is so important as well, and I see it every day, I see it in Washington every day as to why we have to continually stand up and fight, and how when you're a part of a union, it's not just about your members. It's not just about the folks that you work with. It's really about the whole country. When you're out there fighting for better wages and quality health care and to be able to retire for dignity, you're not just fighting for yourself, you're fighting for every American in this country. And it showed, and I saw it so vividly during the health care debate. When I first got elected to Congress, thanks to all of you in 2008, and came in with President Obama, which was amazing, to have great victory with all the folks that turned out here in numbers that we never saw before to support President Obama. And of course, President Obama worked to pass the Affordable Care Act, which provides health care coverage for folks across the country. But I remember that battle, and it was a real battle. You know, they were coming at me, and the Republicans were putting out all sorts of misinformation. And I remember they're still doing it, and it's an attack right now. But I remember the thing that will always stick in my mind was the Labor Day parade, where all of you were in the Labor Day parade. We were marching massive amount of people here. And everybody, I'm thinking in the middle of this debate, all of you have good health care because you fought for it. And you continue to fight for it. But even though everybody in that parade had health care, everybody in that parade also had a big sticker on their chest, and it said, health care for all. You were out there marching, not for labor, you were marching for every American. That's why we need a strong labor movement, and we are going to not let anyone try to take that away, because you stand for all of us. You stand for everybody in this country. And we have folks that want to dismantle that. They want to use politics to take away the hard-won battles that you have had at the bargaining table. We cannot let that happen. We will not let that happen. But the only way we stop it is when we use our power, and our power is to vote. Our power is to make sure our voice is heard. Our power is to get out and make sure everybody we know gets out there and says, we want change. We want people to stand up for everyday Americans. We want to end the politics of division. We want to end the politics of hate, and understand as a country, just like the labor movement, when we are together, we are strong, and that's what we are going to say loud and clear on Election Day. Thank you.
Senator Gary Peters, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's challenging, but I am begging you to please cover your nose as well as your mouth. A lot of people are not doing that. Understand that the mission is much greater than any of us as individuals, and we all want to live and live a long time. I want to acknowledge the presence of 36th District Court Chief Judge Bill McConaughey, who's with us, Wayne Circuit Judge David Perkins, former State Representative Teola Hunter, I mentioned her earlier. She is and this woman is the mother of the struggle for the children in the city of Detroit, Ms. Helen Moore. Thank you, who's always on top of things. We have Charter Commissioners Carol Weaver and Nicole Small as well. At this point, I want to ask Brian Richards of IDBW 58 to please come forward.
Good morning, everyone. So, good afternoon. Thank you. Now, whichever one of my guys set me up to speak after Mike Aaron and Gary Peters, I'm going to have a talk with, because let me tell you right now, I don't have that speaking capability that those two gentlemen have. But I want to thank Senator Peters for his passion. I want to thank Mike Aaron I also want to recognize business manager from the Detroit Plumbers Union, Carlo Castiglione's here today. So they gave me 2 minutes to speak, and I'll tell you, it usually takes me a couple minutes just to get the microphone adjusted, so I'll try and work through this. We got 17 days. We need to get out and vote. If you haven't voted, please vote. If you have, thank you. Once you vote, it's not over. You got to call your neighbors, your family. You got to let everyone know, get out to vote. The other thing that the senator talks so passionately about is labor. And what I would like to say today, when you're voting, remember to vote for labor-friendly candidates. We don't have to concern ourselves with D's and R's all the time. But remember, labor-friendly candidates. And that's going to help us with pensions, prevailing wage, collective bargaining, all of the above, the affordable care. You guys all know what's on the line. So with that, it's my honor to introduce a U.S. Congresswoman who is currently finishing up her 3rd term in the Congress, soon to start her 4th, who's a great friend of labor, and that's Congresswoman Debbie Dingle. Let's give it up for the Congresswoman. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Detroit labor brothers and sisters. You know, Brian may have a soft voice, but I love Mike and David, and I jump when they call, but when Brian calls, I'm like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. So, you know, these two, I love them all. I love everybody. I can't tell you how great it is to see Mildred, who I haven't seen in 7 months since we went into lockdown, and to see all of you here today. We got to be safe. We got to wear those masks, cover your nose, keep your distance. Because, by the way, we know what it means to listen to doctors and scientists. We don't ignore facts. But we're here. It's the oddest, is this not the damnedest election you've ever been in? And I like being with all of you crowded in a room and making sure we're going to turn out the vote. But I want to say this to you. 4 years ago, I told many of you that I thought Donald Trump could win. I know I told everybody behind me that. And they thought I was crazy. Now, I still may be crazy, but unfortunately, I wasn't wrong that day. And too many people thought their vote didn't matter. Too many people believed a bunch of bullshit, and they were labor members, not here, but who saw him come in, and we did a terrible job. I'm going to tell you the truth, because I did not tell you the truth. We didn't talk about trade. We didn't talk about jobs in the United States of America the way we needed to. But Donald Trump came in and made you a lot of false promises. He hasn't kept any of them. In my district alone, that Great Lakes was in December, right before Christmas, they laid off 1,500 people, and we know what's going to happen. At AK Steel in May, they laid off the shift and lost 350 jobs. They didn't lay that one off, they shut it down. And we've lost 50,000 jobs in Michigan since he became president. The greatest job loss since the Great Depression. Those are facts. And we got to tell each other the facts. This man is tearing us apart. And I'm Miss Civil. We got to make sure Gary gets reelected. Well, I can be Miss Civil. But I do believe, I'm tired of drama. I'm tired of people being pitted against each other in this country. I'm tired of people attacking labor. You help everybody. Everybody takes for granted their holidays, their vacations, a safe workplace, a teacher-to-school ratio, a nurse-to-patient ratio in the hospital. Who negotiated that? Unions. And you want a safe and secure retirement? Your union has fought for that, and goddamn it, that needs to be at the front of the list when we elect Joe Biden. I know Joe Biden. I've known him for 40 years. He was one of John Dingle's best friends. shit. I shouldn't have thought of that. You know, he came here and he did John's eulogy. Joe Biden was there for me every day of John's last days. And I lived with John Dingle and Joe Biden when they knew what was happening to this auto industry. And every single night at 10 o'clock, that phone would ring. And they'd be on the phone. What are we going to do? We're going to have to do some things people don't want to do. But we've got to save auto worker jobs. Joe Biden knew. He fought for it, stood up, and delivered. So you know what? I'm tired of bitching. I'm tired of people saying it doesn't matter. It does matter. It's our future. So we need to make sure that everybody you know gets to the polls. Vote now. There are a ton of voting centers around Detroit. Don't mail your vote after the 20th. Can't trust the mail, but there are lots of drop boxes. And we need you to work the polls on Election Day. We got to deliver Michigan and bring America back to being great. I love this country. And we're Americans. That's what we are. Americans that want to protect our Constitution, not give it to a man that's trying to steal it from us. Thank you very much.
Congresswoman Dingle. We are also joined today by Detroit Police Commissioner Annie Mae Holt, Wayne County Commissioner Alicia Bell. We told you that, of course, Irma Clark Coleman from the Wayne County Commission with us as well. State Representatives Cynthia Johnson and Sherry Danyogo. At this time, we're going to ask Andrea Acevedo to please come, SEIU. Okay.
Hey, brothers and sisters, it's amazing to see everyone. And how good to go follow up after our Congresswoman Debbie Dingle, truth telling it all. Hey, I'm the president of SEIU Healthcare Michigan, and I'm so proud to be standing here next to my brothers and sisters of leaders who have fought this fight and taken care of us all during this pandemic. If it wasn't for our governor that protected us, she acted swiftly, she acted quickly to reduce the spread of this virus. She ultimately saved thousands of lives. Had President Trump acted decisively, we might not be in the situation we're in right now.
Right.
Despite having all of the detailed information that he had about COVID-19 months before it hit us.
Yeah.
He failed us. He failed the public, and he downplayed the seriousness and the threat, and that's not okay. We've all suffered due to this failure, whether it's losing a loved one or losing means of income, missing out on precious time with family that we'll never get back. But it doesn't have to be this way any longer. That's why we're here today.
That's right.
Today, we're turning this momentum into action. We're declaring my vote is essential.
Yeah.
Progressive champions are on the ballot, and we're going to vote them in, starting with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It's not just about protections against COVID. We're preserving our health care, the Affordable Care Act. Even today, the Trump administration continues to attack our health care in any way they can. The core pieces of the Affordable Care Act that Joe Biden helped pass when he was a vice president, including prohibiting insurance companies from discriminating people with pre-existing conditions, protecting millions of people's health insurance. And we're under attack by the Trump administration right now. We can't let Donald Trump have another term in our office, and our lives literally depend on it. This is the fight for our lives right now, brothers and sisters. But guess what? Working people are going to decide this election. We got this election. The White House to local school boards and beyond. And we're going to put people in office that fight for us. They're going to take action on racial and economic justice. Through the power of our union, SEIU has organized communities, registered voters, and empowered families and coworkers to join the fight for racial and economic justice by voting for change in November.
Yeah. Yeah.
This year has been challenging, but there's still a lot of hope, and there's still a lot of excitement to come. That's because we know Joe Biden has our back. We're going to do everything in our power, brothers and sisters, to ensure he wins this presidency in November. Because when we fight, we win. When we fight, thank you.
And thank you very, very much. The Honorable Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence is dealing with a family crisis. Excuse me, please. Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence currently is dealing with a very tremendous family crisis at this moment. And she asked that I share with you her words, and one is that this is personal, that education is personal. Equal access to opportunity in America is personal. Health care is personal. She concludes by saying, I remind you of the words of the great Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, we are now faced with the fact that tomorrow is today. We are confronted with the fierce of the urgency of now. In this unfolding conundrum of life and history, there is such a thing as being too late. This is no time for apathy or complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive change. Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence. At this time, I'm going to bring Wayne County Commissioner Jewel Ware up to you.
Thank you. First, let me say thank you to all my brothers and sisters, all the unions here today. You've worked very hard on different issues that affect your members. And I know a lot of times you don't hear the word thank you. I see SEIU, AFT, the laborers, all unions that are here today. Let me just say thank you, and I continue to pray for your continued success. When I think about what's going on in America, there's too much at stake for us to just stay on the sidelines and do nothing. I think that Michigan has stepped up to the plate this year, and we're doing very good, but we just got a couple more weeks to keep on pushing to try to get family members, neighbors, everybody out to vote. Because, you know, we can't go by what they tell us in the media. We can't go by what the polls tell us. We're committed here, but we got to go out and find the uncommitted voters to go out and vote by November the 3rd. The next person I'm bringing up will be our candidate, one of our candidates for Supreme Court. But I just want to speak a little bit about what we need and what we look for in judges. First of all, everybody know I'm big on justice, and I march and I protest, and I probably go to my grave marching and protesting. But we really seeing what's happening to Breonna Taylor and others. We got to look for fairness, integrity, dedicated candidates and judges to the community that can go out and work with our young people, and they can learn the law. They can't be afraid of our judges. The same thing that what's going on with some of the police throughout the United States. Although we haven't had it, any really situations here in the city of Detroit, the chief is trying to hold it down, and I will say he's doing a good job of holding it down. We have to think on a larger, broader base, like what our president is doing, thinking on a larger national level. We got to go and help other states that's in trouble and need our help. I think that the party made an excellent choice when they selected Elizabeth Roach. I'm going to ask her to join me. Elizabeth is 25-year career in law. She's in private practice. She's married to Brian, who supports her in all her endeavors, and she has 4 children. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Joel. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So, I'm going to do a little question and answer here. Do we care about water? Yes. Do we care about health care? Yes. Do we care about collective bargaining? Yes. Do we care about pensions? Yes. What about public education? What about criminal justice? What about voting? Great, good answers. Because if you care about all that, you have to care about the state Supreme Court. This race gets overlooked over and over again. About 30% of people skip this part of the ballot. And it is so dangerous to skip this part of the ballot. You can do all the work you're doing and elect people who align with your values. And if you don't have a value-aligned court, a lot of that can just get undone overnight. We're seeing this happen in Washington, D.C. The same thing happens in our state. You have to care about this court. We are at a pivotal moment where we are talking about what does our criminal justice system look like. You need justices at the top who care about that and who will work very hard on that. You have a Chief Justice right now, Chief Justice McCormick, who sends her regrets, but she has been fantastic. We can all be very proud of her. She was elected in 2012. She is running again. I have the privilege of sharing the Democratic nomination with her, and we are working side by side to pick up this seat. Here is why it's so important. For the first time in almost 20 years, there was one exception, but for about 20 years, the court has been dominated by Republican-nominated candidates. That is not by accident. They were super strategic. The Michigan Chamber about 20 years ago went in big, and I am talking big, on the Michigan Supreme Court, and it paid off. So we cannot let one group buy the court. You cannot. You have to have fairness. And we have that opportunity this year because I am so proud. I have a campaign that has over 5,000 donors so far, which Supreme Court races are not normally like that. So we are really proud of that. Our success so far is because of all of you. I had trip after trip. I'm from Grand Rapids, but I was over in Detroit probably 4 to 5 days a week, December through when we went to stay in place. So many of you met with me, gave me your time, and are some of our earliest supporters. Detroit Labor, you're amazing. Thank you for that. I would not be standing here without your help. So what do we need from you? We need everybody to understand you can't give the ballot back until you vote for Welch McCormack. Or Spice and Jam, for those of you who are cooks, McCormick seasoning, Spice and Jam, Welch, McCormick, whatever it takes to remember. What we need you to do is, you all know this, you're going to fill your ballots out and do the right thing. Your friends and family don't know. We are not captured by straight ticket voting. So a lot of you are working really hard for your favorite candidates. People don't know, and we need them to not guess. There is a tradition with this race where if people don't know, they either skip it or worse, they guess. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Some other folks are playing games with this race and they've recruited people based on their last name, thinking you're gonna be tricked into voting for them. Those folks right now, I finally have become a real candidate. There are big negative ads that just started running against me by the Michigan Chamber. So the good news is they know we're doing a great job and they're attacking me. So fantastic, thank you all of you, that's because of your work. So now, so this is why I just need your help. So like I said, don't give the ballot back until you vote for Welch McCormack. Tell all your friends, thank you everybody.
Thank you very much. We want to acknowledge the presence of Detroit Deputy Mayor Conrad Mallett, who's with us and in part responsible for today's rally. Also, former State Representative Mary Waters, the Detroit Police Department, the Wayne County Sheriff's Department, and Mr. David Beaver, Commander from the Wayne County Sheriff's Department. Give it up, we need the protection. I don't know what's wrong with y'all, but we need the protection, and we are grateful for it. Also, Mr. David Hecker, Michigan AFT.
Thank you, Mildred. Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. Good afternoon. Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that leads others to join you. Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg's quote is exactly who our next speaker is. Randy Weingarten knows that if we want a fairer society, we must vote. She knows if we want a more just society, we must vote. She knows if we want equitable opportunity for all, we must vote. Randy is a strong and powerful voice on her own, but she knows she's just one person. And she knows she has to use that voice, and she does, to mobilize, mobilize, mobilize. You see the bus behind me. Randy and our national officers have been on a bus tour of this country, rallying our members, rallying trade unionists, rallying community allies, and listening to these people, listening to hear what is happening on the ground. What are people saying? What are people thinking? Because as Justice Ginsburg's quote said, you have to fight, but you also need to lead. And this bus tour is spending 3 days in Michigan. 3 days, because Randy knows that the national election goes through Michigan, and she knows about the incredibly important races on the state ballot. So sisters and brothers, I want to give you somebody who understands that voting is the foundation of our democracy, AFT National President Randy Weingarten.
Detroit is in the house or on the lawn. I've been in Detroit pre-COVID a lot because what happened in this city, what happened to our educators, thanks a lot for giving us Betsy DeVos, by the way. What happened with Betsy DeVos, what happened with charters, what happened in the city, what happened in terms of the loss of jobs, and then every single time that happened, who did the Republicans blame? They blame labor. They blame workers. They blame teachers. They blame parents. They blame nurses. They didn't blame what they were doing, that they were defunding schools, they were taking away manufacturing, they were taking away pensions, they were poisoning the water, but they kept on saying it was us. It was the workers who lived in Detroit. It was the teachers who lived in Detroit. You remember this. You lived through this. I just kept traveling in and out, fighting it. And I saw what happened in 16. The cynicism, the sense that it wasn't worth it. Who was really going to change things? What was really going to happen? People didn't show up because people didn't think it mattered. Because people didn't think they had a real voice. You heard Debbie Dingle. But more important than that, you've lived it. You've lived what Donald Trump has done. Yes, I know this is nonpartisan, so I won't tell you who I'm for. But you've lived that chaos. You've lived that division. You've lived that fear. You've lived the fact that all he cares about is himself. What? This is what we know. We know that if we vote, we can change that. If we vote, we win. But what does that mean? Mildred, as I make sure my mask is over my nose. What does that mean? It means health care as a right. It means that we don't have escalating costs for health care or drugs. It means we don't have to decide between an insulin payment and paying rent. It means that teachers and students will have schools where, God forbid, we have to still wear these masks, that the federal government will be paying for it, not individual teachers or students or parents. It means that we're going to have laptops for children and connectivity for children and schools that have guidance counselors and smaller class sizes and people being able to go to college Is that a future that you want? Is that a future that we need? That future is a vote away. That future is a vote away. So the bottom line is this. We see the difference between chaos and community. As Dr. King said, we have witnessed chaos in this state, in this city, in this federal government. It didn't take Detroit to hear about COVID or have to experience COVID to understand struggle. But ultimately, and I've seen this for the last 30 days on this bus, people want hope, people want light. It is within our grasp if we vote and if we get people out to vote. So I ask you, is your voice your vote? Do you want to win? Will we vote early? Will we get one person out to vote? 2 people out to vote? 3 people out to vote? 4 people out to vote? 5 people out to vote? And when we vote, Detroit wins and America wins. Thank you.
Supercharged, supercharged. Thank you so much. Terrence Martin represents the Detroit Federation of Teachers. He's our next person.
We're fired up.
I don't need to tell the folks in this room what's at stake in this next election. We know that access to quality education is on the ballot. We know that human dignity is on the ballot. We know that we've got to turn out a vote to make sure that children in this country have access to literacy. Brothers and sisters, our jobs are at stake. So if you're not fired up about that, what is it going to take? We need labor, brothers and sisters, pushing our memberships to make sure that we turn out the vote. We know what lack of leadership looks like. Just look around. Look at the last 4 years. It is imperative that we remove Donald Trump from office. It is imperative that we get Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. So if you believe that social justice and racial justice are on the ballot, let me hear you say yeah. If you believe that human dignity is on the ballot, let me hear you say yeah. If you are going to turn out the vote in your local and in your homes, let me hear you say yeah. Brothers and sisters, can we win? Will we win? Will you help us win? Let's get it done. Thank you.
Check, check.
We're going to do this one. Are you in? Are you in? Let's get it done. We were expecting another person who has not arrived, and I will say to you that there's too much work to be done. We are appreciative of your time, and on behalf of all involved and everybody who organized this, let's get out on the streets, let's knock on some doors, and let's